Imagine this. You're standing on a beautiful deserted island. The sun is shining, warm on your face, gentle waves are crashing on the white sand beach, and it feels like you found paradise. But then, you look down. A snake slithers over your foot. You look up, and there are thousands of them, hanging from the trees, coiled on the ground, everywhere you look. Your heart pounds in your chest, so hard you can feel it in your throat. You can't breathe, your palms are sweating, and it feels like a nightmare you can't wake up from. But this place is real. This is just one of the places we're about to show you. We are about to take you on an insane tour of the most deadly, most extreme, most absolutely terrifying places on Earth. These are locations so dangerous that just setting foot in them could be the last thing you ever do. We're talking about everything from radioactive ghost towns to lakes that can turn you to stone, and islands where the locals will literally try to kill you on sight. It's going to be an absolutely wild ride, and you won't believe these places actually exist on our planet. So, if you want to see more crazy content just like this, do me a huge favor and smash that subscribe button right now. Seriously, click it. And don't forget to turn on all notifications so you don't miss our next insane adventure. We spend an insane amount of time and effort making these videos for you guys, so every single like and subscribe means the world to us. Now let's get into the 15 deadliest places you should never visit. Let's go. Alright, first up, we're going to that nightmare island I just told you about. It's called Ilha da Queimada Grande, but everyone knows it by its other name, Snake Island. It's located off the coast of Brazil, and from a distance, it looks like a tropical paradise. But trust me, you do not want to go here. The Brazilian government has literally made it illegal for anyone to visit, and for a very good reason. This place is crawling, and I mean crawling, with one of the deadliest snakes in the entire world, the golden lancehead viper. It is absolutely infested. Scientists estimate that there's at least one snake for every single square meter of this island. Some even say there could be as many as 5 snakes per square meter. Imagine taking one step and having 5 venomous snakes right there. Their venom is so powerful it's 5 times more potent than their mainland cousins. It can melt human flesh, cause kidney failure, internal bleeding, and kill you in less than an hour. It's one of the most agonizing ways to die imaginable. There are so many snakes that they've even learned to hunt birds right out of the air. The story goes that the snakes got trapped on the island thousands of years ago when sea levels rose, cutting it off from the mainland. With no ground-level predators, their population exploded, and they evolved to have this super potent venom to instantly kill the migratory birds that land there. The last lighthouse keeper and his family who lived there reportedly died a horrific death after snakes swarmed their home through the windows. This isn't just a dangerous place, it's a real-life horror movie set that you can never escape from. Next, we're flying over to the middle of the Pacific Ocean to the Marshall Islands. We're looking at a place called Bikini Atoll, and I know what you're thinking, but this has nothing to do with swimsuits. This place looks like the most perfect, pristine tropical paradise you've ever seen. It has crystal clear turquoise water, pure white sand beaches, and lush palm trees. It's the kind of place you see on postcards. But this beautiful paradise is hiding a very, very dark and deadly secret. It's one of the most radioactive places on the entire planet. Between 1946 and 1958, the United States used this beautiful atoll as a nuclear testing ground. They detonated 23 nuclear bombs here, including the largest one they ever set off, the Castle Bravo test. This one bomb was 1,000 times more powerful than the bomb dropped on Hiroshima. It vaporized 3 entire islands and contaminated the whole area with an insane amount of radioactive fallout. The native islanders were relocated, told it was temporary, but they could never return home. The radiation levels were just too high. Even today, more than 60 years later, Bikini Atoll is still dangerously radioactive. You can visit for a short time on a special tour, but you absolutely cannot live there. The soil is so contaminated that any food grown on the island, like coconuts or bananas, is poisonous. The fish in the beautiful lagoon are full of radioactive material. Scientists say it could be decades, or even centuries, before it's truly safe for people to live here again. It's a haunting reminder of how we can turn a paradise into a permanent, invisible hell. Okay, this next one is absolutely insane. We're heading to the Andaman Islands in the Bay of Bengal, to a place called North Sentinel Island. This island is home to one of the last uncontacted tribes in the world, the Sentinelese people. They have lived in complete isolation for an estimated 60,000 years. They have no contact with the outside world, no modern technology, nothing, and they want to keep it that way. They are famous for being incredibly hostile and will attack anyone who tries to approach their island. I'm not exaggerating when I say they will try to kill you. They shoot arrows and throw spears at boats and helicopters that get too close. In 2006, 2 fishermen whose boat drifted ashore were killed by the tribe. And more recently, in 2018, an American missionary illegally went to the island trying to convert them to Christianity. He was also killed. The Sentinelese people are so protective of their isolation that the Indian government has made it illegal to go within 3 miles of the island. It's a protected zone, not just for the tribe's safety, but for yours. No one knows their language, their customs, or even how many of them there are. Estimates range from just a few dozen to a few hundred. They've survived tsunamis and everything nature has thrown at them for tens of thousands of years. Because they've been so isolated, they have no immunity to common diseases like the flu or a cold. Just making contact could wipe out their entire population. So this is one place that is deadly for 2 reasons. They will kill you if you go there, and you could kill them just by showing up. It's a place that must be left alone. Now, we're going to Indonesia, a country that sits on the Ring of Fire, which means it's packed with volcanoes, but one of them is particularly terrifying, Mount Sinabung. For 400 years, this volcano was completely silent. Everyone thought it was dormant. But then, in 2010, it woke up, and it hasn't stopped since. It has been erupting on and off for over a decade, creating a constant state of fear and uncertainty for everyone living nearby. It's one of the most active and unpredictable volcanoes in the world right now. When Sinabung erupts, it's not just lava you have to worry about. It spews massive clouds of hot ash thousands of feet into the air, which can shut down airports and blanket entire towns in a thick gray powder. But the most dangerous thing is something called a pyroclastic flow. This is a superheated avalanche of gas, ash, and rock that moves at hundreds of miles per hour and is over 1,000 degrees Fahrenheit. It incinerates everything in its path instantly. There is absolutely no surviving a pyroclastic flow. Tragically, these eruptions have killed many people, including journalists and students who got too close, and villagers who had returned to their homes in what they thought was a safe zone. The government has established a large exclusion zone around the volcano, but it's constantly changing based on the volcano's activity. Thousands of people have been permanently displaced, their villages buried under feet of ash. Living near Mount Sinabung means living with the constant threat that at any moment, the mountain could unleash a wave of death. Okay, from extreme heat, we're now going to extreme, unimaginable cold. Welcome to Oymyakon, a small village in Siberia, Russia. This is officially the coldest permanently inhabited place on the entire planet. I want you to think about the coldest you've ever been, maybe on a ski trip or during a bad winter storm. Now, imagine it being 10 times colder than that. The average winter temperature here is minus 58 degrees Fahrenheit, or minus 50 Celsius. It is so brutally cold that it's hard to even comprehend. The record low temperature recorded in Oymyakon was an insane minus 90 degrees Fahrenheit. That's minus 67.7 Celsius. At that temperature, your eyelashes and saliva freeze into painful little needles the second you step outside. Frostbite can set in within minutes if your skin is exposed. Batteries die almost instantly, pen ink freezes solid, and people have to leave their cars running 24/7 if they don't have a heated garage, because if they turn the engine off, it will freeze and never start again. It's a place where survival is a daily battle. Living here requires a completely different way of life. Most homes don't have indoor plumbing because the ground is permanently frozen, so pipes would just freeze and burst. That means most bathrooms are outhouses. Can you imagine having to go outside in minus 60-degree weather to use the bathroom? Their diet consists mainly of meat, like reindeer meat and frozen fish, because it's impossible to grow crops. Even digging a grave for a funeral can take up to 3 days, because they have to light a bonfire to thaw the ground, dig a few inches, and repeat the process over and over. It's a level of cold that is truly deadly. Our next stop is in Tanzania, Africa, at a place that looks like it's from another planet. This is Lake Natron, The water has a striking, eerie red color, and the shoreline is littered with what look like horrifying statues of birds and bats. But these aren't statues. They are the perfectly preserved, calcified bodies of animals that died in the lake. This lake literally turns animals to stone. It sounds like something out of a Greek myth, but it's completely real, and it's because of the lake's insane chemistry. Lake Natron is what's called a soda lake, which means it is incredibly alkaline. The water is full of sodium carbonate and other minerals that flow in from the surrounding hills. Its pH level can get as high as 12, which is almost as alkaline as ammonia or bleach. For comparison, a normal lake is around 7 or 8. The water is also extremely hot, reaching up to 140 degrees Fahrenheit, or 60 Celsius. This combination of extreme alkalinity and heat is deadly to almost all life forms. Any animal that isn't adapted to it and falls into the lake is essentially cooked and then mummified. The high concentration of sodium carbonate acts as a fantastic preservative, just like the salts used by the ancient Egyptians for mummification. So when an animal dies in the water, its body doesn't decompose. Instead, it just hardens, calcifies, and turns into a stone-like statue. Despite this incredibly harsh environment, one type of animal actually thrives here: flamingos. The lake's alkalinity keeps predators away, making it one of the safest breeding grounds for them in the world. But, for everything else, Lake Natron is a chemical trap of death. If you thought the last place was alien, wait until you see this. We're going to the Danakil Depression in Ethiopia. This place is often called the gateway to hell, and honestly, that's not an exaggeration. It's one of the lowest, driest, and hottest places on the face of the earth. The landscape is a psychedelic nightmare of vibrant yellow and green sulfur fields, bubbling hot springs, and vast salt flats. It looks more like a moon of Jupiter than anywhere on our planet. It holds the record for the highest average temperature for an inhabited place, with daily temperatures often soaring past 122 degrees Fahrenheit, or 50 Celsius. But it's not just the soul-crushing heat you have to worry about. The air itself is poisonous. The ground is covered with volcanoes and fissures that spew out toxic gases like chlorine and sulfur. Breathing this air can be deadly. The pools of water that you see aren't for drinking. They are pools of acid. Scientists recently discovered that this is one of the few places on Earth where absolutely no life can exist, not even microscopic bacteria. The combination of high temperature, high salt content, and extreme acidity makes it completely sterile. Despite these hellish conditions, people actually live and work here. The Afar people have been mining salt from the vast salt flats for centuries. They cut the salt into slabs by hand and transport it on long camel caravans, a journey that can take weeks across the brutal landscape. It's one of the toughest jobs in the world, in one of the most inhospitable environments imaginable. For tourists, a visit is only possible with experienced guides and a lot of preparation, because one wrong step or one deep breath in the wrong place could be your last. Now we're coming back to the USA, to a place that has a very fitting name, Death Valley. Located in California and Nevada, this is the hottest place on Earth in terms of record-breaking air temperatures. In the summer of 1913, the temperature here reached an unbelievable 134 degrees Fahrenheit, or 56.7 Celsius. That is the highest, most reliably recorded air temperature in history. The ground temperature can get even hotter, reaching close to 200 degrees Fahrenheit, hot enough to literally cook an egg on the pavement. Death Valley is a basin that's 282 feet below sea level, surrounded by high, steep mountain ranges. This geography traps the hot air, which just circulates and gets heated even more by the sun and the ground. There is very little rainfall, making it the driest place in North America. The combination of extreme heat and extreme dryness is a recipe for disaster. The biggest danger here is dehydration and heat stroke. You can lose gallons of water just by sweating, and if you don't replace it, your body will shut down very, very quickly. Every year, there are stories of tourists whose cars break down or who get lost while hiking, and they tragically die from exposure to the heat. It's so dangerous that in the summer, park rangers advise against hiking after 10 a.m. Even your car can overheat and leave you stranded in the middle of nowhere with no cell service. Despite the name and the danger, it's a stunningly beautiful place with sand dunes, salt flats, and colorful canyons. But if you visit, You have to respect the power of the heat, because Death Valley does not forgive mistakes. This next place is famous for all the wrong reasons. We're going to the Chernobyl exclusion zone in Ukraine. On April 26, 1986, the world's worst nuclear disaster happened here when Reactor 4 at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant exploded. The explosion released a massive cloud of radioactive material that spread across Europe. It was a catastrophic failure that had devastating consequences. To contain the fallout, the Soviet Union created a 1,000 square mile exclusion zone around the plant, evacuating over 100,000 people from cities like Pripyat. Today, Pripyat is a ghost city. It's frozen in time, exactly as it was when it was abandoned in a hurry. You can see decaying schoolrooms, with books still on the desks, a creepy amusement park with its iconic Ferris wheel that never got to open, and apartments with personal belongings left behind. It's an incredibly eerie and haunting place. While radiation levels have dropped enough for short, guided tours to be possible in some areas, it is still a dangerous place. There are hot spots of intense radiation where you can receive a dangerous dose in just a few minutes. The soil, the plants, and the buildings are all still contaminated. You can't touch anything. You can't sit on the ground, and you definitely can't take anything as a souvenir. Visitors have to go through radiation checkpoints when they leave the zone to make sure they haven't been contaminated, while wildlife has surprisingly returned to the area. With wolves and bears roaming the empty streets, the threat of invisible radiation is always there. It's a chilling monument to the catastrophic power of nuclear energy gone wrong. Sadly, Chernobyl isn't the only major nuclear disaster we've seen. On March 11, 2011, a massive earthquake and tsunami struck Japan, leading to a meltdown at the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant. It was honestly the most serious nuclear accident since Chernobyl. The tsunami disabled the power supply and cooling systems of 3 reactors, causing them to melt down and release huge amounts of radiation into the air and the Pacific Ocean. Hundreds of thousands of people had to be evacuated from their homes. Even years later, a large exclusion zone still exists around the plant. While some of the outer areas have been decontaminated and residents have been allowed to return, the towns closest to the plant remain empty ghost towns, very similar to Pripyat. The cleanup process is one of the most complex and dangerous engineering challenges in human history. It's estimated that the full decommissioning of the plant could take 30 to 40 years, or even longer. The levels of radiation inside the reactor buildings are still so high that they are lethal to humans. Robots are sent in to assess the damage, but even they are often disabled by the intense radiation. One of the biggest ongoing challenges is dealing with the massive amount of contaminated water that was used to cool the reactors. It's being stored in over 1,000 huge tanks on the site, but they're running out of space. The plan to release the treated water into the ocean has been extremely controversial. Fukushima is a stark and ongoing reminder of the long-lasting and devastating consequences of a nuclear meltdown. Our next destination is in the middle of the Karakum Desert in Turkmenistan. We're going to a place that looks like it's straight out of a fantasy movie. It's a giant fiery crater in the ground known as the Darvaza gas crater, or more famously, the Door to Hell. This thing is about 230 feet wide and 65 feet deep, and it has been burning continuously for over 50 years. It's a mesmerizing and terrifying sight, especially at night when it glows so brightly you can see it from miles away. The story behind it is pretty wild. Back in 1971, Soviet geologists were drilling for natural gas in the area. The ground beneath their drilling rig collapsed, creating this huge crater and releasing a massive amount of methane gas. Worried that the poisonous gas would spread to nearby towns, the geologists made a decision. They decided to light it on fire. They thought it would burn off all the gas in a few weeks. Well, they were wrong. It's been burning ever since, and no one knows for sure how much longer it will continue. The heat coming off the crater is intense, and getting too close is obviously extremely dangerous. The ground around the edge is unstable and could collapse at any moment. Plus, you're standing at the edge of a giant, never-ending bonfire fueled by natural gas. In recent years, it's become a strange and popular tourist attraction, with people camping nearby to see the incredible spectacle. The president of Turkmenistan has ordered it to be extinguished several times, but so far, no one has figured out how to put out this man-made hellmouth. Now we're going somewhere dark, claustrophobic, and filled with millions of dead people. We are going deep beneath the romantic streets of Paris, France, into the catacombs. This is not your typical tourist spot. It's a massive, sprawling network of old mine tunnels that stretch for hundreds of kilometers under the city. And the walls are lined with the skulls and bones of over 6 million Parisians. It is the world's largest grave, a true empire of the dead, and it is absolutely terrifying. In the late 18th century, the cemeteries in Paris were overflowing. They were becoming a massive public health problem. So the city decided to move the remains from the cemeteries into the abandoned underground quarries. For decades, wagons filled with bones made their way through the city at night, and workers painstakingly stacked the skulls and femurs into elaborate, artistic, and macabre displays. You can walk through sections of it today, with walls made entirely of human bones staring back at you. While there is a small section open to the public for tours, that's just a tiny fraction of the entire network. The vast majority of the catacombs are off-limits, unstable, and unmapped. People known as cataphiles illegally explore these forbidden tunnels, but it's incredibly dangerous. It's a pitch-black, confusing maze, and it's very easy to get lost. People have gotten lost down there and died. In 2017, 2 teenagers were lost for 3 days before being rescued, suffering from hypothermia. Getting lost in this underground city of bones is a real and deadly possibility. For our next deadly destination, we're heading to the Caribbean island of Dominica, but we're not going to the beach. We're hiking into the Morne Trois Pitons National Park to a place called, quite simply, the Boiling Lake, and honestly, the name is 100% accurate. This is the second largest hot lake in the world. It's actually a flooded fumarole, a crack in the Earth's crust, and it's literally a cauldron of bubbling grayish-blue water that's constantly boiling. The water temperature along the edges is around 180 to 197 degrees Fahrenheit, but the center is just too hot to even measure. The lake is heated by molten magma deep below the surface. The entire area is shrouded in a thick cloud of steam and volcanic gases. It really looks like a scene from a fantasy movie about a dragon's lair. Getting to the lake is a dangerous and difficult 6-hour round-trip hike through dense rainforest and volcanic terrain. But the real danger isn't the hike, it's the lake itself and the gases it releases. The steam can cause serious burns and the air is filled with gases like sulfur dioxide. There have actually been some tragic accidents here. In 1900, 2 people were found dead near the lake, suffocated by a sudden release of volcanic gases. And a guide once fell into the boiling water and died from the horrific burns. The water level and temperature can also change dramatically and without warning. Sometimes the lake drains completely, only to violently refill with boiling water. It's an incredibly powerful and unpredictable display of nature's raw geothermal energy, and a place where you're just one wrong step away from a truly horrible death. We're going back to Chernobyl for this one, but we're not just going to the exclusion zone. We're heading deep inside the ruins of Reactor 4, to a specific object that's so dangerous, it actually has its own nickname. It's called the Elephant's Foot. And no, this is not an animal part. It's a massive, solidified lump of corium, a lava-like mixture of melted nuclear fuel, control rods, and concrete that formed during the 1986 meltdown. It flowed down from the reactor core and hardened into this shape that vaguely resembles an elephant's foot. When it was first discovered, this thing was the single most radioactive object on the planet. The radiation it emitted was so intense that standing near it for just 30 seconds would give you a lethal dose. You'd be dead in 2 days. Even after just a few minutes of exposure, you'd be dead within a week. The first photos we have of it were taken by a camera mounted on a wheeled cart, because it was way too dangerous for a person to get close. It literally melted the film and destroyed the electronics of robots sent to study it. Over the decades, the elephant's foot has cooled down, and its radioactivity has decreased significantly, but it's still unbelievably dangerous. It's estimated that even today, spending an hour in the room with it would still be fatal. It's now kept under the massive new safe confinement structure that covers the old reactor, but it remains a terrifying symbol of the meltdown. It's a man-made monster, a solid mass of pure death, and honestly, it's arguably the most dangerous single object that humans have ever created. For our final and 15th deadly place, we're going to the far east of Russia, to the Kamchatka Peninsula. This is a wild, remote place known for its stunning volcanoes and, yeah, grizzly bears, but hidden within this wilderness is a place with a terrifying name: the Valley of Death. This small valley, located at the base of the Volcano, has a really sinister reputation. It's a natural death trap. For as long as people have known about it, they've found the valley floor littered with the dead bodies of animals, bears, wolves, foxes, birds, mice, all sorts of animals wander into this valley and just drop dead. For a long time, it was a total mystery, but scientists eventually figured it out. The valley is a low-lying area where heavy toxic volcanic gases, mainly hydrogen sulfide and carbon dioxide, get trapped. These gases are released from fissures in the ground. They're heavier than air, so they sink and accumulate in the bottom of the valley, creating an invisible, odorless lake of poison. When animals wander down into the valley to rest or find food, they breathe in these toxic gases, lose consciousness, and suffocate. Because the gases are most concentrated on calm, windless days, the valley can be perfectly safe one day and a deadly gas chamber the next. Rangers and scientists who study the area only enter with gas masks and on windy days, and they never stay for long. It's a place where the air itself can kill you before you even realize you're in danger. A silent and honestly super effective killer created by nature. And there you have it. 15 of the most dangerous, insane, and absolutely deadly places on our planet. From islands crawling with snakes to radioactive ghost towns and lakes that boil you alive. It's honestly crazy to think these places are real. We took you on this insane, virtual tour to show you the extremes that exist in our world. These places are a powerful reminder of the force of nature and the long-lasting consequences of human mistakes. It's a big, wild world out there, and some parts of it are definitely better left unexplored, or at least viewed from the safety of a screen. Thank you guys so much for watching. We spent an absolutely insane amount of time researching and putting this video together for you, so I really hope you enjoyed it. Every single one of you who watches until the end is a real one, and I appreciate you more than you know. Your support is what allows us to keep making bigger and crazier videos like this. We literally couldn't do any of this without you guys. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next video we drop. Let me know in the comments which of these 15 places you thought was the most terrifying. I'm genuinely curious to see what you guys think. Also, hit that like button if you want to see us do another video like this one. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.